Libertadores final is in Lima, Peru this Saturday. It's Palmeiras against Flamengo. What a run these two teams have had. Arguably the two strongest teams in Brazil when considering international football. It's a repeat of the 2021 Copa Libertadores final. And to talk more about this epic matchup that we're going to get this weekend, we bring in Mbizo Mzamane, our Brazilian football expert, amongst many other hats that he has. Mbizo, fala, irmão, tudo bem por aí?
Tudo bem, meu parceiro, tudo bem.
What an incredible matchup. Many might have predicted it because these two teams are actually going at it in the Brazilian League as well with 2 match days remaining.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these two teams, you said that they're the strongest in Brazil, but I'd go further and say that they're the strongest in South America. And after some of their displays in the World Cup, one might even try to slip in there that perhaps some of the strongest in the world, but maybe that's pushing it. At any rate, yeah, these two teams always going down to the wire in the last couple of seasons. Flamengo right now with the advantage, I think 5 points clear. They tied Atlético Mineiro last night, which wasn't a great result, but Palmeiras lost to Grêmio, which leaves them 5 points behind and 2 games left. Palmeiras plays, I think, Atlético Mineiro, which is always a complicated fixture, exemplified by Flamengo's difficulty in beating them. But Flamengo has 2 pretty easy games, Ceará and Mirassol, who is absolutely overachieving, but you would expect them to get the points there. And again, Palmeiras has been on this downward decline, but in the Libertadores final, anything can happen, and I'm sure Palmeiras will be flying off of their last victory, where they came back, incredible comeback, 4-0. So they'll be hoping that they can overcome Flamengo.
The Brasileirão is awesome, man. It's competitive from start to finish, 38 games. You've got 4 relegation spots. The top teams go into South American football for next season. The strength of the domestic title, I think, is represented in international football. When you see these teams in Copa Libertadores, and as an Argentine American, I feel envious because Brazil has such a competitive, such a fun domestic league, whereas in Argentina, it's constantly changing. Nobody knows what's at play, too many tournaments. It doesn't sharpen the craft of the best teams. And for Argentines, I feel like the last 7 seasons, the Copa Libertadores has had this motif of how do you bring down these Brazilian sides that are so dominant? And now we're getting, once again, a Brazilian final between, like you say, Mbizo, 2 extremely powerful teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we discussed this a little bit. We didn't go into detail, but we talked about how many of the Brazilian clubs are moving into a SAF structure, which is a privatization of the club, which for many Brazilian clubs, Atlético Mineiro, Palmeiras and Flamengo as well, Cruzeiro, who's also doing very well, and potentially could actually win the league as well if things go their way. They've moved into this privatization of the club, which has brought in billions in investment and allowed these teams not only to be able to replenish the talent that they lose season in and season out to European teams, but also to invest in infrastructure, to invest in youth development, to invest in the clubs. And many South American teams, including in Argentina, where privatization in this nature is actually illegal, and there's a lot of cultural pushback towards this kind of privatization, it's making them fall behind. And so they really can't compete in terms of the financials. And of course, Brazil has always produced quality players, but now with this influx of investment, a lot of teams are finding it hard to compete. And so that's exemplified once again with Palmeiras and Flamengo in particular, once again competing not only for the Brasileirão, but also for the Libertadores.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal point that you mentioned. Argentina's new president, who is a staunch economist, has kind of opened the doors to this novel LLC type of investment, right? And Estudiantes de La Plata, one of the more historic teams in Argentina, have taken that route, but because it goes against tradition, a lot of people in Argentina push back on it. But when you see what Brazil is doing, it's right there at a grasp where you can say, only if we invested like Brazil invested. And you look at the players that a Flamengo has, they're able to bring in Saúl Ñíguez, who was playing in Europe, Emerson Royal, keep the likes of Jorgen de Arrascaeta, who's the best player on Flamengo. And if you don't have a Pedro, who has been the talisman up top for Flamengo, and you'll give me an injury update on him. You have a Bruno Henrique who's coming back to form, scoring yesterday.
Right, absolutely, exactly. So when we're talking about the financial fortitude, we're talking about teams that can, have such depth and such power that they can actually purchase players, Brazilian or otherwise, from Europe who are actually at the peak of their powers. Something that obviously many Brazilian teams can't necessarily afford, but certainly other South American clubs cannot compete with that kind of financial fortitude. And so that's what we're seeing here. A team with so much depth that even, as you said, when a player as important as Pedro is missing, they're able to put in other players who are of equal and maybe arguably superior quality.
All right, let's talk about the matchup finally. Abel Ferrera, the Palmeiras legendary manager, arguably the best manager in their history, up against Filipe Luís, who already won the Copa Libertadores as a player not too long ago, and then now wants to win it as a manager. Not too many people have done that. He is this new wave of man on the sidelines who's really changing things around for Brazilian management. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Despite his short time as a manager, he's catapulted himself already to arguably one of the best in the country and certainly one of the best on the continent, and seems to be one of the few who can, I think, go blow for blow with Abel, who you've also rightly mentioned, has just been historic for Palmeiras, and certainly one of the best foreign managers, anyway, in Brazilian football history. So this guy is certainly tipped to be one of the greats of Brazilian management. Atletico Madrid has also been looking at him for quite some time, a number of other clubs as well, but the link to Atletico Madrid, obviously, having been a former player there successfully, is the largest. And we're also hoping that maybe at one point in time, no matter how the Ancelotti tenure goes, that he will absolutely take over the Seleção and perhaps lead them to a long-lost glory as well. So this is a top-class manager, and I think he proved it with his extremely modern football in the World Club Cup against some of the strongest clubs in the world. And it's extremely exciting to watch his development. And again, it's still so early in his career. He has a lot to learn, a lot to achieve, and we're just seated here with bated breath, waiting to see what he can accomplish.
And Mbizo, I feel like I already know the answer to this. Who's your pick for the final?
Flamengo, meu irmão. Que isso? Que pergunta. It has to be Flamengo. I mean, Palmeiras can get the job done. But if you look at their decline over the last few weeks, I just find it difficult. I mean, Flaco Lopez and Victor Roque, who have really been, I think, the foundation of Palmeiras' quality football this season with an incredible amount of goal contributions and just overall superb play, they've been shooting blanks. And as a result, I think Palmeiras has just really, since the Mirassol defeat, really has just been in decline. And I think Flamengo, who despite the absence of important players, has managed to still get on the score sheet, has managed to still pull away in the league. I think their confidence is flying too high. And they have a history, by the way, in Lima, where they won Libertadores there as well. So
against who,
just too much on their side. You know, my brother. So look, this is, I don't want to put any more pain in your pocket than you already have.
Hey, let me that Copa Libertadores final, what was it? It was River was winning 1-0 with like 2 minute left, and then Gabigol scored twice in stoppage time to turn the final on its head, something like that, right?
A classic final. And so again, with Flamengo having that, I think also psychological advantage, I'd call it, I just don't see Palmeiras overcoming them.
And how the narrative can change for Palmeiras in a matter of weeks. You could lose the Brasileirão and the Copa Libertadores, and all that doubt around Abel from a couple of months ago when fans were jeering him might come back, or you win a third Copa Libertadores for your club. So the stakes are high. Mbizo Mzamane, thank you very much. Muito obrigado, irmão.
De nada, meu irmão. It's always an absolute pleasure.
Valeu, parceiro. All right, the Copa Libertadores final, the fiercest club competition in the world this Saturday. Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount Plus.